The carousel continues to turn in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons hiring Monty Williams as their next head coach, making him a significant offer in the range of $70 million. Coach of the year last season was fired by the Suns after their second-round exit. Monty Williams replaces Dwayne Casey, who moved from the bench to a role in the front office. Detroit picking 5th overall this year in the NBA draft. They'll have Monty Williams to help build their young core. And for reaction, welcoming CBS Sports NBA writer Brad Botkin. Brad, Monty Williams to the Detroit Pistons. Your reaction here as they make the hire of a former NBA coach of the year?
Massive, massive deal, and good for Monty Williams. He did a terrific job in Phoenix. Little bit of a scapegoat there. This is a situation, I think, pretty obviously where Monty Williams had spoken about being willing to take a year off. I think was expecting to take a year off. And Detroit just came in with too big of an offer. $72 million, $12 million annually as reported. Highest paid coach in the league. Basically an offer you can't refuse. They went Godfather on him and they pulled him in. It's very interesting. You mentioned Dwayne Casey. This is the second time now that Detroit has pulled in a recent coach of the year that was fired from the job that he won coach of the year in. So Detroit's making a big play here. They have a nice young core, and they want a proven guy to come in and be a serious team.
When you look at Detroit and what they have lacked, they have not had a winning season since the 2015-2016 season, and you know they have a lot of young talent there. Jaden Ivy, Jalen Duran, and Kade Cunningham, and they've got the 5th pick, which, you know, ideally you'd want that top 3 pick. That didn't work out for them in the lottery this year. Right. But what can Monty Williams do with this young core, with this young talent?
Well, it's all about player development, and the key here is, excuse me, they gave him enough time here. They're obviously committing to him that this isn't a fast track thing. Yes, we all know that patience is not much of a commodity in the NBA anymore, but they're going to give him some time, and they've got to develop Kade Cunningham. They've got to mention or develop Ivy and these guys that you mentioned. Do something good with that number 5 pick, and I think they want to establish a culture now. I think they like their backcourt, and now they want to say, what kind of team do we want to be? What kind of identity do we want to have in Detroit? What style do we want to play? What type of player do we want to bring in? And the fact of the matter is, this is not a highly coveted job, so they had to throw the bank at Monty Williams. They had to overpay. There is no way Monty Williams gets this kind of money from a team that isn't this desperate to get on the right track in terms of identity. So again, they have a nice young core, but there are a lot of teams in this league. The Rockets have some nice young players. You know, you could go across the league and most teams have a few young players that they want to build around, but that's not much. And so Monty Williams is being asked to come in and take this decent little core that they've got and really, really build them up. You know, we're seeing a team in Miami right now in the finals, and we don't want to make any comparison with the young guys in Detroit and what Miami's been able to do. But with the emphasis on player development, if you get the right culture in there, and Monty Williams has a history with the executive in Detroit there, Troy Weaver, they spent time together in Oklahoma City, and those guys have that experience there with that young team in terms of building up young talent and building that culture and that foundational setting. And I think all those factors go into a play for a team in Detroit that doesn't expect to win right now, but expects to immediately now develop some core stability. And there aren't many more stable leaders in the league than Monty Williams.
Yeah, certainly Monty Williams, a leader of men, a great ability to be able to get the most talent out of guys. And of course, he had a ton of talent in Phoenix. It didn't work out with Devin Booker. Right. Now Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton. There was some reported problems between the two of them, and now they're no longer together. But now this leaves the Suns in a situation, right? They've got all this talent. They've got a new owner. What's next for Phoenix here as they move on? Because this is a team that's contending and a team that wants to win right now.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And we've seen some jobs come open now. The Bucks, for instance, it's like win now. And so that the thing that Monty Williams did in Phoenix, you know, you can equate it a little bit to what Mark Jackson did with the Golden State Warriors. The foundation really got laid. and they went out and they were able to bring in a championship roster that's ready to go for the next coach. And so thank Monty Williams for that. Thank the front office. They really put together a good situation there. And I don't want to use the word that it didn't work out in Phoenix, or the phrase. I mean, they went to the finals. You know, they had a tough couple of exits with the last 2 years in the playoffs. But look, they went out to the team that I think is going to win the NBA Finals in the Denver Nuggets. And the year before, everybody caught COVID in Game 7. So I definitely hesitate to say that things, quote, didn't work out in Phoenix. I think, you know, like 29 other teams in the league, they didn't win the championship. But Monty Williams established himself there as a composed, foundational leader. And again, he has time in his background. He's got it on his resume of working with player development and young rosters. And so I think it's a good move for Detroit. They really had to pay for it. But also, when you think about where Phoenix is at, a lot of credit has to go to Monty Williams as well in terms of setting the table for whoever comes next out in the desert.
Yeah, if you're the new Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, are you going in-house with Kevin Young, the associate head coach, or are you looking outside maybe at a veteran like Doc Rivers, who we know the history of Doc Rivers, but we know what he's able to do with a roster? What are you trying to do here with a new owner, a new front office?
Yeah, I think they're going to stay. I think they're going to stay internal. I mean, that's the word around that everybody's kind of hearing around the league. And I just don't like the idea of a retread. You mentioned Doc Rivers and going out and getting somebody that kind of didn't work out somewhere else. And we know about Doc Rivers' track record or lack thereof in the playoffs and his inability to make adjustments. I mean, I think they've got a team in Phoenix there where the culture is set. Again, thanks to Monty Williams, the half-court offense is set. The stars are in place. Everything is ready to roll. And I think keeping that thing internal and bringing that thing up, you know, similar to the way a Nick Nurse was brought up in Toronto, where you know the ropes, you can get it going right away, and you can keep that cohesion that Monty Williams helped build with his staff. I think that's the way that Phoenix is going to go. I would be surprised if they went outside the organization and brought in a retread. To me, that sort of reeks of like a desperation of we don't believe in our culture and what we built. Again, I don't think the Monty Williams firing was an indication that they think something was broken there and that they need to get outside of the foundation that they had built. You know, didn't get to where they wanted to get a new leader, new voice in there, but keep the cohesion, keep the continuity. And I think all indications from everything we're all hearing around the league is that they're going to stay internal. Well,
meantime, the Detroit Pistons hiring Monty Williams, the former Suns head coach. 6 years, $72 million, looking to turn that organization around, looking to lead them to their first winning season since the 2015-2016 campaign. Brad Botkin breaking it down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Brad, thanks. The coaching carousel continues. Monty Williams heading to Detroit. Just 2 more openings remain in Phoenix and Toronto.